baseball, not always the best team wins, right? You got to still go out there and get it done.
Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this special edition here of Baseball Talk, right here on the Youth Baseball Midwest channel, the most comprehensive youth baseball coverage. Yep, I said it, in the Midwest. And we're here to bring you some information about Illinois high school baseball. The playoffs are started. We're getting ready to move through it. And I'll tell you, folks, we're happy to bring it to you just before we step into our summer schedule, because our goal is, from live broadcast to player stories and everything in between, we're here to showcase the players, teams, and moments shaping the future of the game. Today's episode powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. Make sure, we're going to be out this weekend with Game 7 Baseball, our 14U Super 7 Invitational, 18 teams. We're going to be having a lot of fun. If you're still looking for an opportunity to jump in a tournament, whatnot, go to game7baseball.com. See what opportunities are there for you. We still have plenty of stuff coming up over the summer. If you're so inclined and you like what we do, please take a moment, subscribe. That helps. We appreciate all of our subscribers, all those watching. Hit that dinger next to it, and you can see we got our dinger bat right here to help you hit that dinger. It's not a home run, but it sure does give you notifications for more episodes just like this one. So we appreciate everybody being here today. I've got Mr. Diego Solares, Scout Connect, working the sideline, working the bleachers, I don't know what he's working, but he's all over the place in Illinois right now. And, but good to see you, man.
How we doing? It's good to be back. It's been a little bit.
So
it's good to be back.
You're running all over the place.
Trying to, yeah. It's hard to be, and can only be at one place at once. I've got some help. I've got some great help, helping me out on both sides in Illinois and Missouri, getting out and covering games and stuff like that. So it's been nice. It's been a little bit of a refresher. But this is the craziest time of the year. Playoff time. Summer starts next week. So we're going right into it.
Hey, I know we're here to talk about Illinois, and that's cool, but I haven't got your take on, the playoffs, 5 and 6, the quarters are there. What's your picks there, Brew?
I'll take Vianney. I'll take House Central, Rockwood Summit, Festus. Am I missing anybody? I think that's all the St. Louis area teams, right?
That's St. Louis. You're not venturing outside of that much, are you?
I haven't done that in a while. I know Staley's always really good. They're really well coached. I was listening to your guys' press box on Monday. I honestly hope that Willard goes pretty far. With it being Scott McGee's last season, I think he does a really good job. He's a really good baseball guy. Aside from just being a really good coach, he's a really good baseball guy. So I'll be pulling for them from afar. But yeah, in St. Louis, I'll go Summit, Festus. Although I do think Chaminade is going to give Festus a run for their money. I'll be out there tomorrow for that 3:30 game. I think CBC and House Central is going to be really interesting. Like, House Central's got some good arms. CBC can really, really hit.
Yep.
And if they pitch like at an average level, I think they'll have a chance. And then Vianney Lafayette. I mean, Vianney winning that game against Lindbergh, Zach Van Hook, walk-off homer. They've got arms for days. Lafayette's a good team. They're tough. They're gritty. They're well coached. They play their brand of baseball. I just think Vianney's probably has a little bit more star power, and they're also really talented and well coached. So yeah, I mean, it should be a great 2 days.
I agree. I agree. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think Vianney's a little more offensively challenged maybe than Lafayette, and I think they're not as deep, but they're top 4 at Lafayette's pretty good, and I think can match up with maybe everybody except for maybe Van Hook.
Yeah, Van Hook will be the best player.
Yeah.
Van Hook will be the best player of those two teams. Like, he's obviously really good on the mound. He's also really good at the plate. Thierhoff is a guy that probably goes a little under the radar with how good he is. He'd probably be a number 1 on most teams in St. Louis. Head to Rockhurst, having a really good year. You got Sam Smith going to Northwest Missouri State. Drew Keller going to Three Rivers, coming out of the pen. I mean, they haven't had to use him to my knowledge, but they do have the freshman, Brady Dorman, hanging out if they need to in like a game 3 type scenario. But yeah, I mean, Lafayette's going to match up well. Matthews, Krimmel, Sin. That's going to be a really good. It's going to be a really good series. I would probably just lean Vianney a touch more, given they have the best player, and he's also like a really good arm as opposed to being a super physical left-handed hitter. So we'll see. It should be a good one.
I like it. I like it. That's good stuff right there, folks. Appreciate that, Diego. At top there, our good friend from Southeast Illinois, Carl Lange, jumping in here. He's been we've been talking with Carl. He's been working with us. Of course, he is working with us as a representative for Dinger Bats there, but also we've been talking to him, helping us talk more about Southeastern. Is that just Southern Illinois, or is
it's probably just Southern? Yeah.
Talking more about that, giving us some insights. His son plays currently at Carterville. How you guys doing down there so far?
Good. We won 8-4 yesterday. Hayden's class, that sophomore class, is good, and Lucas Owens started for us against Murfreesboro, and he's a kid that he's not going to blow you away with speed. Keeps the ball down. He gave up 4 runs, but he went 6 1/3 or 6 innings, and pitched well. Again, it's a sophomore. The testament to Carterville right now is that at some point this year, 7 sophomores have seen varsity mound action for a team that won 25 games. I mean, that's in Class 2. There's not a lot of that going on. So. Yeah, we play the winner of Redbud and Massac County. And they play today at 4:30. So we'll play the winner of them Saturday morning at 11.
Well, shoot. There you go. Saturday morning. Be there. Aloha. I know you will be.
Yeah, we're tailgating, man. We've got a dad's text together. We're going to do breakfast tailgate. Like, we've got a whole thing already lined out.
Sweet. I love that stuff, man. That's cool. You know what? A lot of people don't do that stuff with baseball. I think it's fantastic. If you ever been over to Francis Howell, they did that all down. It was down the right field line behind that, man. They had the grills and stuff. It was always fantastic. Chris Craddock, shout out there. He was always right in the middle of that. It was fun, man.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever go to a Brewers game in Milwaukee, they tailgate it just like a Packers game.
Do they really?
Like, yeah,
Milwaukee's a good time
in the farther lot. Yeah, Milwaukee's like Hayden's a Brewers fan because he was born in Milwaukee. So I've tried to beat it out of him and it doesn't work. But yeah, we went to a game up there. And like you pay $5 and you can eat the entire tailgate row. Like nobody get whatever you want, bratwurst, burgers. Doesn't matter. Like they don't care. They'll feed you. They'll give you drinks, whatever you want. All you just drop $5 at the beginning of tailgate row, and there you go.
Jeez, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's neat. It's a cool atmosphere. I've even when we lived up. Every time the Cardinals came in town up there, they would do $1 hot dog, $1 soda night, and so we would always go watch the Cardinals play. And even if the Cardinals weren't playing, it got to where I'm going to go watch a game. If I had a chance to go watch the Cubs and the Brewers, or, I think I watched the Cubs, the Braves, the Giants, all at Miller Park. And it's such a fantastic time. It's a great atmosphere.
Very good. All right, let's get into this. Class 1, starting here. When I was looking down through this, Class 1, Greenville at Greenville. It looks like starting there. Talk to me about what is it? Gibalt Catholic there in Waterloo?
Yeah, Jabot
Jabot.
Catholic, I think is technically how you pronounce it.
Okay.
They are basically a 1A powerhouse. They won the state championship a couple years ago. They do this thing every single year. It's in Waterloo, so it's in Southern Illinois, like kind of like by Freeburg area. They do this thing every year where they go into the playoffs with a pretty bad record, and it's done on purpose because they go out and seek like higher class competition. They'll play Waterloo, they'll play Freeburg, they'll go over to St. Louis and play some of those teams. So like you see their record, and they're like, I think the year they won state, they went into the postseason with a below 500 record, and then just went on a run. They're the 1 seed in that little subsectional. I would expect them to get out. I guess the one thing that could give them trouble is that Valmeyer, if they can beat Carlisle without having to throw Luke Blackwell, who's a senior going to John A. Logan, if they can save him for the regional championship, that would probably be like the only chance Waterloo doesn't come out, or Jabot doesn't come out of this regional. Um, but I would expect them to be playing in a sectional semi next Wednesday and probably come out as regional or as sectional champions. The one team on the bottom half of this like subsectional that could probably give them some fits is Pawnee. They went to state last year. They've got some returners from that group. They have a really talented sophomore arm named Gavin Greer, who's been having a great season for them. New Athens has always been a tough group as well. But if you had to ask me to pick somebody in 1A to win the Greenville sectional, I would probably roll with Jabot Catholic. They were one of 3 1A teams to be in our top 15 rankings for our small schools at some point. Is them, Tremont, and North Clay, who we'll touch on later. So I would expect them to come away as sectional champions and at least play for a chance in the Super to go to state.
Yeah. New Athens is a team I saw playing a lot back and forth over the border too.
Yeah.
They took on a lot of teams that way. Do they do that? They seem like they did that as much as anybody from the Illinois side.
Yeah, I actually did notice that a couple times too, like checking in on like STL today, like seeing that they were playing New Athens. I don't know a whole lot about them this year. I know historically they've been pretty good. Last year they had an arm. I mean, they're the 2 seed in their subsectional. The only team above them is Pawnee. So they have to be good in some capacity.
Yeah.
But I'll be chalk here, and I'll take Jabot and Pawnee to be playing in the sectional championship on June 6th with a chance to go to the Super.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. So what do we have down that way? What is the bracket in the southern part of the state here, guys?
The Goreville bracket.
The Goreville bracket. Yep. So the Goreville sectional, obviously Goreville's the 1 seed in their subsectional. They were like one of those teams that was on the brink of like jumping into our top 15 rankings all year. Goreville's a 1A powerhouse. Like they've been for a really long time. They have guys that come out of there all the time and are good college baseball players. They went to state, I want to say in 2023 or 2024. Like it was pretty recently that they made a run to state. They didn't win it, but they were there. The Black Cats, like I would think they're the favorite to come out of here as sectional champions. Sparta will be tough if they can get past Waltonville. Waltonville's been good the last couple years. They're the 3 seed this year. They've got a little shortstop, Reed Robinson, who's a good player. Their best arm from last year, Brandon Metzer, went to Cincinnati. He's gone, but they're still putting together a good season. I like Goreville. Like I know they have good players. I guess on the bottom half of this bracket, I'd be lying to you if I said I was super familiar with all these teams. The 2 teams that stand out to me right off the jump are Edwards County. That's a team that I've heard of that is usually pretty good. And down there, as the 6th seed, in that little bracket is Crab Orchard, okay? Which makes for an interesting matchup because they've got one of the better 2028 arms in Southern Illinois in Fisher Watts. He leads the state in strikeouts. I think he's got 117 strikeouts this year, which is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he's going to have to throw for them to beat Gallatin County. But if they can win without him throwing and he can throw in the regional championship on Saturday, I feel really good that they'll win that baseball game because he's a really good arm. So that's a team that's like a lower seed. They could probably make some noise. Somebody's going to make some noise as a lower seed. It happens every year. I think last year West Frankfort was a 10 seed and they were playing for a super. So like that happens every year. But like if you zoom this out, grand scheme of things, I'll take Goreville to win the sectional and be playing for a chance to go to state on Monday the 8th.
So which teams have you guys seen down there, Carl?
Well, to Diego's point too on that. So Goreville and Marion Crab Orchard played 3 weeks ago.
Extra inning game.
Watts pitched, and Watts pitched against the Parish kid, or the blue kid from Goreville, and through 7 innings it was tied 0-0.
Mm.
I mean, it was two arms just going after each other, and I think Goreville ended up winning it 2-0 in like 8 or 9 innings. But yeah, Fisher Watts is, I've seen Fisher a number of times. He's pretty good. Always around the zone. He's in the low to mid 8s pretty consistently. A ton of swing and miss. He's got some really good movement on his stuff. We have faced this year. So we played Sparta. We played Waltonville. I don't think we didn't. Oh, we played Steelville, which Campbell Hills already beat Steelville, which I didn't really expect that to happen. But I'm kind of with you, Diego, on the Albion Edwards County. Pretty good friends with Jason Fulton, Quincy's dad, and talked to him after Newton's game against Edwards County, and he said that they're a really solid baseball team. He said they're going to be a tough out, and come playoff time. So I think there's somebody that can make some noise. But Goreville's got a lot of talent, and they've got a lot of young talent. I think that's something.
Yeah, they got a lot
of
young dudes. They've got
they're very similar to Carterville in the fact that I think they're starting like 4 sophomores and 2 juniors. I mean they've got a lot of guys that are young, that are contributing, that are very good athletes. So I would probably go the same route. I would probably say that Goreville is, going to win that with a chance to go to supers, and be in the sectional championship game. But as you said with West Frankfort, all it takes is one. We've already seen a couple upsets in Class 2 that we'll talk about in a little bit. But there was two games that happened yesterday that when I saw the scores, my jaw dropped. So you never know. Baseball's a fickle sport, man. Any given day, any team can pull one out.
So is there any other schools that that here as far as looking at these brackets in Class 1?
There's 2 more. So if you go up to the Altamont sectional, that's going to be mostly like Central Illinois, Effingham area schools. Okay. North Clay is the 1 seed in their subsectional. I think they finished 30-4 or 31-4. They won the state championship in 2022 in one of like the more dominant fashions. Like they just rolled their way to a state championship. They finished the year in our rankings at number 15. So they were like I mentioned earlier, one of those 1A teams to get in. They're good. They're very good. They have an arm that I am absolutely blanking on his name right now. And I'm going to pull it up because it's going to drive me crazy. Jack Compton. Jack Compton, he's a senior, really good arm, headed to SWIC. So they won their first game against Farina South Central 13-0. I would expect it to look a lot like it did in 2022, where they kind of just roll their way to a sectional appearance. On the bottom side of that bracket, I'm actually going to look at the 2 seed Altamont. Okay. They have a really good arm in Cade Millville, who's going to Lakeland. He's an absolute baller. Last year was all state, threw like 70 innings and walked like 10 guys. Having a good year this year too. He'll give them a chance to win every time he's on the mound. So I would expect a collision course between those two teams heading to the sectional championship. KC Westfield made a decent little run last year. Like they could give North Clay some fits. But I think North Clay clean sweeps it to a sectional championship. We're going real chalk here, picking all the 1 seeds. But I think in 1A this year, with like a lot of those teams that bumped up to 2A, like McGivney's 2A now.
Yeah.
Ottawa Marquette is 2A now. I think it's a situation where like these teams that are good are just better than everybody else.
Right.
That is definitely the case if you scroll up to the very first sectional on this list, which is the Bloomington sectional.
Hold on. I want to give a shout out here to Arcola, the number 3 seed, Neoga, the Indians. And I forgot to do this. I wanted to. It's been crazy hectic because we had the Neoga Chiefs a few years ago in a championship game a couple times. And I know some of these kids are playing on this team here. And I wanted to give a little shout out and I forgot to do it. So I'm sorry to the Neoga Indians. They're the 3 seed there. I'm going to be following that one because that'll be interesting. I got to go check that out and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I wanted to do that real quick, Diego. So
sure.
Because that'll be interesting to see, because that's something we do. We look at, I love that thought process when you see these kids where they're going to high school. That was a good baseball team. Here they're a 3 seed. I don't know how good they are right now, Neoga, as far as, their opportunities. But 3 seed's pretty good,
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I would think that. So last summer, Newton put on a 15U tournament, and Hayden and Quincy being the friends there, Hayden actually went up and played in that tournament for Newton. And in the championship tournament of the 15U, it was the Neoga Chiefs and Newton, and Hayden pitched against them. And I think we won 3-1.
Yeah.
But they were a very, very talented team. So if I had to guess, not seeing them at all, I would guess that they've probably got a bunch of sophomores playing from that team that are pretty solid. And they'll be a 3 seed this year and then probably a 2 or a 1 the next couple of years because that group's very, very good baseball team.
Pretty solid. There you go. Very good. So we were moving up to which bracket?
Yeah, if you bump up to the Bloomington sectional, it's the very first one under the bracket. Tremont is the 1 seed. They remind me a lot of what Father McGivney has been in the past. They bumped up and finished our small school rankings at number 5 overall as a 1A team. They're absolutely loaded. Griffin Meeker, the shortstop's going to Heartland. They have an arm, Chase Rhodes, low 90s, going to John A. Logan. They have a third baseman, right-handed pitcher, Andrew Dawson, who's going to Valparaiso. I would venture to guess that Griffin Meeker and Chase Rhodes will be Division I players when they're done at their junior colleges. So they've got 3 Division I players on a 1A high school baseball team. They did get a little I don't want to say lucky, but probably lucky because they were 2A last year and they bumped down to 1A. So they took this absolutely loaded roster and they're playing in 1A now. They've won 20-something straight games. They finished the regular season 30-2. Their only 2 losses were to U-High, who's one of the better 3A teams in the state, and St. Joseph Ogden, who was the wire-to-wire number 1 on our small school rankings. Those are the only 2 teams they've lost to. Other than that, they've beat everybody. I feel pretty good Tremont's going to come out of this. If we're looking at teams that could give them some fits, Mount Pulaski, the 1 seed on the other side, they're a program that has historically been very good. Looks like Colfax gave them a run for their money in that first game. I will say Colfax has an arm, a good arm. I'm blanking on his name, I think his name. I think it's Landon Ludwig. He's a big, tall, like 6'8" left-hander. So that's probably the reason why that game was 3-2. On the other side of that, Hayworth and Springfield Lutheran. Springfield Lutheran also has an arm. Caleb Cox, senior going to Northern Illinois, that's low 90s, like has been up to 95. If they can maybe beat Hayworth without throwing him, I don't know what else they have. My guess is he'll have to throw in this first game. But if they can pitch off and win, and he can go against Mount Pulaski in the regional championship, that's probably their only way of actually winning a regional. Lexington is a team that has played in the Elite Eight in the past. They're the 2 seed on the bottom side. So that's a program that has won historically. But like if I zoom this out again, real chalk here. Tremont to me is the best 1A team in the state of Illinois. I would be really surprised if they don't make it to state, let alone probably win the state championship. So that's my pick there.
There's a
Briefly
lot
touching on.
There's a lot of lopsided numbers with these 1 seeds that I've seen in these brackets.
Yeah, that's typically what tends to happen, right? Like when you get smaller schools, like the 1 seeds are going to be the teams that win 27, 28, 29 games because their team is really good. I guess if you zoom this out and look at some other brackets that we don't have to necessarily like really dive into the whole thing, but Route Catholic in the Camp Point sectional, they went to state back-to-back years, I believe in 23 and 24, if I'm not mistaken. They've been good for a while. They've got a pretty good trio of players going there. Brady Turner, left-handed pitcher, going to Quincy. Bryson Mossman, center fielder, who's a really good basketball player. That's kind of running around for them up there. I would keep an eye on them. The other team I'd keep an eye on is Armstrong. In the Dwight sectional. They have maybe the best, if not the second or third best 2027 arm in the entire state in Traxton Roberts, who's going to Kentucky. Like low 9s, fills up the strike zone, hammer breaking ball. Armstrong is in like the Champaign area. It's right outside of Champaign. So I would keep an eye on that. I would guess he didn't throw in that first game against Watseka. But if he's on the mound, like they're going to probably win every time he's on the mound. It's a really, really good arm. So keep an eye on Armstrong. They're the 1 seed in their subsectional. But other than that, like kind of how you said, I think it's pretty lopsided. Of the teams we touched on, if you had to like make me pick somebody to win the state championship, I'll roll with Tremont. I don't think they will lose a game the rest of the year. And obviously, if they don't lose a game the rest of the year, they'll be the state champs. So,
dang, right off the get. I love that. Go ahead. What do you think?
Sure.
Carl, do you think Tremont? I'm kidding you, man. Don't worry about it. Do you have somebody? You're on mute, buddy.
My fault. My dog was barking because the people showed up to mow the yard. No, I actually, when Diego puts out the rankings, I do a lot of like going out and seeing, okay, who do I not know? And like going to check them out. And it's ironic because Diego and I have never discussed McGivney and Tremont. And the first time I looked at them, I was like, it's the same team. Like it's the same type of, we went up and played McGivney last year and we had no business being on the field. They had, 3-4 D1 guys. They had a number of college commits. We had 2 dudes going to a junior college. Like that's all, we didn't know. And I mean, now one of them was Parker Poole, but we didn't throw Parker that day. Parker's done a great job at John A. But when I saw the stuff going on with Tree, I mean, I'm in the same boat. Like I haven't seen them there as much as Diego has, but they have to be the hands down favorite to win. There's just too much talent and too much going on there for that not to be the thought process.
Let's move to 2A here in this in the state of Illinois, and the only thing I can say as far as what my eyeballs have seen is we saw 2 very quality 2A schools duke it out over how many innings was that? Was that 9 innings, Drew? It was. And it took a home run in the top of the ninth to win that game 11-10, and that was Father McGivney and St. Anthony. And St. Anthony, that team, I don't think they have any holes in their lineup that I saw. They're 6 through 9. Well, here, let's see here. 6 through 9 in the 6th and 7th innings scored 5 runs. Walk, home run, single, walk. That was in those 2 innings for the bottom. That's 7, 8, and 9 for St. Anthony. And I'll tell you what, when you get into critical situations and you're talking about championship baseball, if you don't have that shows a lot right there. That's the big innings. That's 6th and 7th inning. They're producing. Those are big time spots. When you've got guys at the bottom of your roster that can perform at that level at that time of the game, that's impressive. And that's the only take I have. I don't know too much. I mean, Father McGivney was just as good. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I thought those things are that stand out to me that I'd take away from something, and really sets an emotion to me. It says that's a team that can win a championship when you've got that kind of level of depth in your order. And then the pitching wise, they look like they have plenty of arms to deal with anybody they need to, as far as that's concerned. And we saw the Laritzin kid that day with St. Anthony. And, so that's the only perspective I have as far as, and they came over from and St. Anthony's been rolling ever since, as far as what I've seen playing ball. And I know, would you have them ranked there, Diego? Was it 4 or 5 or something like that?
Yeah, they were. They kind of fluctuated. Like they've been kind of an enigma for me all year. They started the year out really high. They have a new coach this year, so like St. Anthony, they went to back state playoff appearances. They won the state championship a couple of years. I think in 2024 they won the state championship pretty handedly. They got a new coach, so I was aggressive on them early in the season. They took some lumps throughout the year. They play a tough schedule. I think they finished at like 9 or 10 because they lost the city series to Effingham, which is kind of a big deal in that town. They play a 3-game set. St. Anthony and Effingham play each other. But I still think they're really good. They're probably the best 4 seed in the entire state. If you really look at like the brackets and everything. It's a shame that this Greenville sectional is as good as it is because only one team is going to come out of it. And there's 8 teams on here, probably not 8, but close to 8 that could win a state championship. Right off the jump, like you're going to have Teutopolis, who's our number 3, facing off against St. Anthony in the championship game. You're going to see Austin Borys going for T-Town. You'll probably see Aiden Laritzin going for Effingham St. Anthony. These 2 teams played each other earlier in the year, and Teutopolis run-ruled them. I'm very confident that's not going to happen again. I will probably, like if I had to pick somebody, it's really a coin toss. I'll go with T-Town because I just think like their team is a little bit more experienced in kind of what it takes to win a game like this and to be able to manufacture offense against an arm like Aiden Laritzin. I guess the ultimate wild card is Charlie Spoor. I mean, from an arm talent standpoint, it's about as high as it gets. Like he's every bit a 90-94. He swings it a little bit too. I know he hit a homer when you guys saw him. He's hitting 4-hole for them now. He missed part of the season with an injury, but he's back fully healthy now, good to go. Like if he's in the zone, he's going to dominate anybody he plays. That still needs to get a little bit more consistent. But from a talent standpoint, it's very high. It's a premium arm. So him and Laritzin rolling out there for St. Anthony. T-Town's got a million arms. Austin Borys, Davin Werman, Caleb Dieters, Aiden Niermerg, like whoever they throw is going to be good. So I'll take T-Town, which is a shame that they're facing off against each other so early on, but somebody has to get eliminated, right? Here's the one that I think is really, really interesting. Okay, is this Father McGivney regional? They almost lost yesterday. They were winning 9-5, and Mater Dei, who's a fine ball club, I would say Mater Dei is not on the same level as Father McGivney. Just if we're being straight up and honest, and they came back and almost won the baseball game. I think there are some real question marks with Father McGivney on the mound. They've been hampered a little bit. They've been hampered a little bit by the injury bug. Like two of their key arms are down and have been down for a majority of the year.
Yeah.
So that's going to really play a role. I'm looking at Breeze Central as a team to make some noise here. Obviously, they have to get through Greenville, who's a very tough 6 seed. I think Greenville won 20-plus games. If Breeze Central wins today and is facing up against Father McGivney on Saturday, I will take the Cougars to win that baseball game. I think they have enough offense. I think they have the best arm in Alex Ottmer. I think they have the second best arm in Bryce Weeder, depending on whoever throws that game and whoever throws today. And I just think that Father McGivney is a little bit more vulnerable than they have been in the past, just because they've had some bad luck from an injury standpoint. They've had some pretty important players go down this year for them. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, like McGivney could very well win the regional. I'm going to lean with Breeze Central, but I think that's going to be a great game regardless, assuming Breeze Central can get past Greenville today. The further down, I mean, it just keeps getting. These teams are just really good. Freiburg is going to be playing in the regional championship. You're against either Nashville or Columbia. Nashville finished the year, I think, number 4 on our list. They had a ridiculous season. They went 29-4 or 30-4 or something like that. The caveat I will say is their number 1 arm is not pitching right now. He's on the shelf. And Columbia, we've touched on this a little bit, Brian. They're very similar to Jabot Catholic in 1A, where their record is not anything crazy. I think they're like a game or two over 500. They play a really tough schedule. They've got some really good wins on their resume. They did this last year where they went into regionals like a game over 500 and they won their regional. So I'm going to take Columbia to beat Nashville today. Connor Bashinsky is going to throw for them more than likely. He's one of the more talented sophomore arms over here in kind of the Metro St. Louis area. I'll take Columbia to win this game. Give me Freiburg to win the regional. I just think that Freiburg there is a machine top to bottom. Like their offense is relentless. They've got the arms to do it. And then we got a pretty cool little matchup here in the bottom part with Newton and Effingham going at it. Newton, a team that's got Quincy Fulton, one of the more talented sophomores in the state. They've had a phenomenal year. They were in our rankings for a couple weeks at one point. And they're hosting Effingham. Effingham, a Central Illinois powerhouse. They went to state in 2023 in Class 3A. They've got several very talented players. Carter Brady, left-handed junior. I would guess he'll be the one throwing on Saturday. Max Flack, who's a senior going to Lakeland. Jude Traub is a really talented junior for them. So that's going to be a pretty good battle there. Every single regional championship in this sectional is like going to be a dogfight essentially. And whoever wins it is going to have earned it. So the sectionals for this little matchup, like depending on whoever wins, like whoever these 4 regional winners are going to be awesome because you're going to have 4 good teams no matter what. And again, it's a shame that only one of these clubs is going to come out and make it to a super, because I'm pretty sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these teams were in our top 15 rankings at one point in the season. So that's kind of like the magnitude of this sectional.
It's big. And, you'd told me about the rivalry between St. Anthony and Effingham. They're both in the same city. And so I spoke to the head coach of the Bulldogs when we were there at McGivney, and I asked him about that. And I said, I'd love to come over. And he says, yeah, man, come on over. He says, I didn't know they did 3 games.
It's a city series. Honestly, it would have been cool for you guys to go over there. I don't know if you would have had enough room to like fit all your stuff in, because they play the games. They play the games at this city park. I'm blanking on the name, but it might be like the most electric atmosphere in the entire state.
That's what he
Like,
said.
it is 2 teams. They play a 3-game series. Like, quite literally, the whole town of Effingham is there. Like, it's pretty special stuff. The craziest thing is that Effingham, St. Anthony, and Teutopolis are all within like an 8-mile radius of each other, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
And you've got 3 like legitimate 2A powerhouse teams in a little circle, basically. So
And because you said he's new to this, and he said, everybody told me, yeah, it's crazy. He says, I was like, yeah, whatever, it's high school baseball, He says, oh no, that was nuts.
yeah.
He wasn't. I don't think he was really prepared for what he saw there. So, Carl, the Benton regional down there, pretty loaded. I'll start there with you because you guys are right there. You're into the regional final. Talk to us about who are some of these teams, man.
It's this is the bulk of our schedule, and Diego knows that. Looking at this sectional, I think we faced every one of these teams with the exception of Fairfield, Mount Carmel, and Redbud. And we got a pretty legitimate chance to face Redbud on Saturday. But yeah, this is there's already been 2 big kind of surprises. DuQuoin, I think, being the 2 seed, they got a really good pitching staff. They got Sycraft and the Zimmerman boy. Both of them throw real well. Zimmerman hit a speed bump yesterday and gave up, some runs in the 3rd inning, and Heron knocks him off. That was shocking. Heron's a scrappy team. We played them twice and beat them both times, but they've got some talent. They've got several boys on the team that have played in the Colt World Series with Hayden, or I've seen them, in different aspects, and they're catching fire at the right time, which is good. They've got some talent. They've got some kids that can throw. I believe it's first-year coach there too, so I think there was probably a feeling out process early in the season. At the top of the bracket, you've got Harrisburg. They've got talent coming out of their ears, essentially. Dax Randolph, one of the best 28s in Southern Illinois, is their leadoff guy. One of the toughest dudes I've ever seen to strike out. He's going to put bat on the ball, and he hits the ball hard when he makes contact. He's a great middle infielder. He's got good footwork. They got Ian Crabb, who's their number 1, throws the ball hard, keeps it down, moves the ball around. Pinckneyville Chester, that's kind of I don't really know where that's going to land. We faced Chester early in the year, and again, scrappy team. I don't know that they had the pitching depth, either them or Pinckneyville, either one, I think. But they're going to jump into a regional final against Heron, so that's going to be really interesting to see how that shakes out. We Carterville played Murfreesboro yesterday. We had played them twice in the year. Beat them by a combined score of 21-1, and the score was 8-4, and that things got a little dicey and interesting there at the end. We had to bring in Cal Dunning, who's he loves to make stuff interesting. He'll walk the bases loaded and then strike out the side. I've never seen anything like it, but it did a good job there. But Murphy, I think they hit into 3 double plays yesterday, which greatly helped us. But Redbud Metropolis is a team. So we beat Harrisburg to essentially jump in the driver's seat to win the conference, and we go down the next day and Massac County shut us down. And the kid that they threw against us, and I'm blanking on him,
Zach Maurer.
But Zach Maurer. Every time we face him, we just struggle hitting the ball hard. He's not a fireballer by any stretch. I mean, he's probably upper sevens, low eights, maybe, but he keeps the ball down. He's got a really good breaking ball. And we were just off balance out on our front foot, couldn't square up anything, and they beat us. I would assume that they're probably going to throw him against Redbud to make sure they make it to Saturday. But that'll be interesting. I'm actually going to jump out to that game today. We're hosting at Carterville, so I'm going to go out and scope that game out.
They will, and then they will have to throw him. They will have to throw him because Redbud's got an arm, Landon Rubush, who is really good. He's having a really good year. I would be shocked if both of those two arms aren't going today.
Sure.
So I would venture to guess when the winner is going to throw their two.
Yeah, and when we played Massac the first time, they threw their number 2 or 3, and it was a completely different scenario than when they threw the Maurer kid. I mean, he throws the ball well. The other big upset that I referred to earlier is that Carmi jumps in and beats Fairfield, the 2 seed in that bottom half. That shocked me personally. We played Carmi early in the year, and I haven't seen Fairfield, but obviously you look at scores and you compare things, and I didn't see that one coming at all. So that'll be interesting to see how Carmi moves forward. I would assume they probably threw their 1, and Fairfield thought maybe they could get by with their 2 or 3, and stuff kind of jumped up and bit them. But then that last game, the Mount Carmel Benton is a team that you shouldn't sleep on. I mean, we went up and beat them. I think we short gamed them. If we didn't, we beat them pretty handedly. And 4 days later, they beat Harrisburg. They've got, I mentioned it the last time that I was on your show, Brian. They've got some kids. They've got some young talent. What is the kid's name? The catcher. They got Holden Skibo. Holden Skibo is a really solid player for him. I am totally drawing a Custer. The Custer kid hit 2 home runs off of Harrisburg's number 1. He cracked Ian Crabb twice. And that's a kid that I remember seeing him. The fun part about a lot of the 28s in this area is Hayden's played against a lot of them, and he's played with a lot of them. And you see those kids. The Custer kid has been a part of the Southern Illinois Strikers. I think he was on the King City Royals before that. And with the Gators and with the Cannons, Hayden would face them all the time. And it was very often that they would be dueling it out on the mound and at the plate. And the same thing with the Skibo kid from Benton. There was a time in Hayden's life where I think the only 2 home runs he had given up to Holden Skibo in his life, or the only 2 home runs he had given up were to Holden Skibo, and the only 2 he had hit were off of Holden Skibo. But that kid's a talented kid, left-handed bat, swings it real well. And both of those boys are pretty good backstops. But I would say Benton will win that or Mount Carmel. I don't know a ton about Mount Carmel. I would say the winner of that game has the upper hand probably to win that regional. Looking through the rest of the regional finals, Johnson City, West Frankfort, that's a toss-up game. Both of those teams can play really good and they can play really bad. Both times that I saw them, they played really well. We played Frankfort, and for a handful of innings, it was like a 2-1 game or a 3-2 game, something like that. It's one of those. Harrisburg, I think, threw their number 2 against El Dorado, so I think they're they're probably gonna have Crabb on the mound for Saturday. I'm not sure it'll be interesting to see how the Johnson City Frankfurt game turns out. I would say I'm not going to comment on whether or not Carterville should win, play for a sectional championship.
No, I wouldn't ask.
Potentially,
Yeah,
I mean, I think there's a lot of parity in this. I think at the right time and the right place, any one of the teams that come out of this could be playing in the supers. So Carterville's having one of the better seasons that they've had in a while. Harrisburg's always good. They're so well coached. Jay's a fantastic coach, and he's got a really, really good staff. And those kids know how to win. And, I think that speaks a lot for certain situations with this, where you get in those games, and it's 6-5 and you need to make it out to secure the win, or you're down 1 and you've got 2 on with 1 out, hitting the ball to the right side to get that tying run across. And, if you get it into the outfield, you tie the game or take the lead. There's a lot to be said on knowing how to win a game, and looking up in the sectional that Diego was talking about, with St. Anthony threw us out, threw the tying run out at the plate to end the game against us. It was a game that kind of back and forth the whole way. They jump up 2, we score a run, and we send a kid, and their center fielder threw a great ball in, relay throw from the shortstop was dead on the money, and got us out. And I think a lot of that's a testament to that group of those kids know how to execute when they have to.
That's that.
It's going to be interesting. I think. What's that?
Henry Brent is their center fielder.
Yeah.
He's very good.
Yeah.
He's also their leadoff guy.
He made a catch in that game that may be one of the better catches I've seen a high school center fielder make. I mean, it was a ball in the gap, full extension, and he made it look effortless. I mean, it was just like, oh, no, like he lays out, catches it, and then just flips the ball in the infield like it was no big deal. But I think the Benton sectional is going to be interesting, and I think any of those 4 teams that make it to that have a shot to win it. The favorites, obviously, probably. I think people would love to see. I know Carterville's talking about it. I know Harrisburg's talking about it, to see Ian Crabb face Hayden in the sectional championship game. We split the season series with Harrisburg, so I think that would be it would be an awesome game, but you got to get there first. And you can't sleep on whatever's coming out of the bottom of the bracket for either one of those teams.
No.
But it's going to be an exciting time. Carterville's got a chance Saturday to win only the 8th regional in the history of the school. And if they did make it to the sectional championship game, I believe it would be the first time in school history they play for a sectional championship.
There you go. Diego, we've talked a little bit about some of these teams and whatnot. Harrisburg is definitely in, one of the things we've looked at. Do you see any surprises here?
No, I would expect, unless something crazy happens, which this time of year crazy things happen.
Well, you already got a 10 seed.
Yeah. Yeah, I would expect Harrisburg and Carterville to play for a sectional championship against each other. That's going to be a really tough game. As tough as that is to pick, I would probably lean with the guy that has 950 career wins if I had to pick somebody to win.
I understand. I agree.
I could easily see either one of Carterville or Harrisburg winning this sectional, with DuQuoin being out.
Yeah.
I would say it would be really surprising to me if those 2 teams were not playing for a sectional championship. The only other team that I could see maybe making a run, just because, and I don't know anything about them this year. I'll preface this by saying that. But just because it's a program that has won and been good in the past, is Mount Carmel. They have had some very good years. They've had some very good players come out of there. Caleb Appleby came out of there a couple years ago and pitched at LSU. So like I would think Mount Carmel's got to have something. Um, and now that Fairfield is out and Carmi White is the one waiting them, if they can get past Benton, who sounds like they've got some decent players, that would be the only other team with DuQuoin eliminated that I could see maybe making a run. But other than that, I think it would be pretty surprising if Carterville and Harrisburg didn't play for a sectional championship. And that would be a really good baseball game. I would probably lean a little bit more towards Harrisburg, but nonetheless, I think it's got a chance to be really good. So,
one of the team we didn't get to see this year, we had some issues that we had to deal with, but Maroa Forsyth, a number 1 seed, heading towards that Ogden, that I've seen in your rankings quite a bit. Do you see that as a collision course there in that Monticello bracket?
Yeah, so I guess actually no, I don't. We can kind of like hover over these next 2 sectionals. I would be really, really shocked if St. Joseph Ogden isn't playing for a sectional championship. They're the best 1A or 2A team I've seen. The only one that might be better is Ottawa Marquette, which is up in like kind of the Chicagoland area. But they yes, on that side of it, I would say yes. I think St. Joseph Ogden will be there. I'm really surprised Maroa Forsyth is the 1 seed here. I think they're the 3rd best team of the 1, 2, and the 3. I personally would have had Tolono Unity as the 1, Monticello as the 2, and Maroa Forsyth as the 3. Tolono Unity, we had this conversation, Brian, earlier in the year. They have the worst record of these 3 teams. I can guarantee you they have the best resume of the 3 of them. They've played a very, very tough schedule. They swept Carterville. They beat Sacred Heart Griffin. They beat St. Anthony. I'm pretty sure they beat Teutopolis. They have a really good resume. They've got 3 really good arms. Neither the guy that threw yesterday is not one of those 3. So they will have all 3 of their best arms ready. Tolono and Monticello is a big rivalry in football, and I think part of that has spilled over to baseball. Because when I had Tolono Unity ranked over Monticello, there were some Monticello fans that were not afraid to let me know about it. So that has a chance to be a pretty awesome game on Saturday. I would take both of those 2 teams over Maroa Forsyth. I don't know a ton about Maroa. Clearly, they're doing something right if they're the 1 seed. Historically, they have had very good teams. They made back-to-back state appearances, I think in 22. Yeah, 22 and 23. They went to state back-to-back years. But I would just be hard-pressed to think that they are a better team than from what I've seen from Tolono and from Monticello. All of that being said, I would be really surprised if St. Joseph Ogden isn't the team that wins the sectional. They're just really good. They had a crazy good year. They got a little bit of unfinished business going on. I'm pretty sure they lost last year in their sectional semifinal. And they basically had the same team as they do this year. So, those kids are definitely going to have a chip on their shoulder now as seniors, getting ready to finish this thing off. So I'll take the Spartans to win that. Bumping down to the Pleasant Plains sectional, this is another one that's really interesting. Roxana is the 1 seed on their side. They've been in our rankings from start to finish. They've got a really good team that kind of cultivated in last year's group, having a lot of success, and most of them being juniors last year. So now, the core of their team are seniors that have been supplemented by some pretty talented juniors. They've got 3 legit arms. Dalton Character going to McKendree, Mason Crump going to Indian Hills, and then Bradley Heron, who's a really talented junior. Character threw yesterday, so Mason Crump will throw in the regional championship. They will face Litchfield who came back and scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th yesterday to walk off North Mac. Litchfield's going to throw Ethan Sadoff in that game, I'm pretty sure, who's a senior going to Swick. So that'll be a nice little matchup there. Don't know a whole lot about the bottom half. I know Williamsville has an arm who's injured and is not throwing. So that could be a situation where Pittsfield, the 6th seed, beats them. If you bump down to the bottom half, Pleasant Plains is the 1 seed. They were really good last year. Like, they were very old and really good last year. They won like 30 games and lost a lot of their team. So I kind of thought they were not going to have that good of a year. I think they finished like 24-11 and had some pretty good wins on their resume. They're the 1 seed. They're going to play Rochester, who won in 14 innings yesterday against New Berlin. They walked them off in the bottom of the 14th to win the game. On the other side, you got Gillespie as the 2 seed. I'm looking at Staunton here at 4. They're going to play Alton Marquette today. I would think Staunton will win. They've got a really talented junior in Braylon Brown, who's going to Cincinnati. He's really good. So like, they have the most talented arm of this kind of little grouping here. I would take Staunton to win the regional, and I actually think I would take Staunton to beat Pleasant Plains, assuming Pleasant Plains gets by Rochester in the sectional semi. That being said, Roxana to me is the favorite, assuming they can get by Litchfield. I think whoever wins this Roxana Litchfield game will win against Petersburg, or like the winner of Williamsville and Pittsfield, and set up a pretty decent little matchup going on in the sectional championship. But that kind of wraps up 2A. Like, we probably took a lot of time talking about it, but it's pretty extensive from a coverage standpoint. Like, a lot of the really good 2A teams are in central and southern Illinois, just because they're smaller schools, smaller towns.
Right.
So I'm really interested to see how some of this stuff plays out.
Yeah, everything gets a little more condensed in the 3 and 4. Right, right. I figured that was going to be the big one because it does cover more area. When you started looking at, when I was going through all these, I'm like, wow, there's a lot here. Because as I was rolling down, I go, oh, I've seen that. I've seen, Diego's talked about that. So that was good. I think the 2A is interesting there as far as schools and whatnot. Just, they can beat a lot of 3A and 4A schools as well. I mean, they're just, it's
for
good,
sure.
It's good baseball. It's just really good baseball. Sometimes that happens, right? I think it's like 4A in Missouri. You've got 4A schools that they can go up and play a 6A school and beat them. I mean, it's one of those classes that just, I don't know why, it just happens. But
I would take, without question, the top 3 arms for Teutopolis and for Tolono and face anybody in the state with them. I think those kids are, especially seeing Tolono up firsthand. I mean, those arms were, like they threw a kid against us and we're like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Then they take him out and we're like, all right, what are we going to see? And this kid threw harder. And it was like, oh, wait, what? Like, how does that work? So yeah, I mean, both of those teams have a really, really good pitching staff. The Atmer kid from Bree Central, him and Hayden had probably one of the coolest games to watch. I mean, through 5 innings, there were 17 strikeouts and only 2 hits given up in the game, and it ended up being a 1-0 game. There's a lot of talent in this 2A group that on any given day they could go up and play a 4A school and beat them.
So 3A right off the get is the Troy or Triad. I guess that's called a sectional, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I got that one right. There you go. And Troy, the number 1 seed, Marion, the 2 seed, Mascoutah down at the bottom of this sectional is number 1. And they've already put a beat down on Cahokia. Troy shut out Taylorville, but Marion, East St. Louis didn't have too much trouble that way. What do you think of this Waterloo-Carbondale game being played today, Diego?
I'll take Waterloo. I'm sure Carbondale's got something. It's a bigger high school. It's like them and Marion are the only 3A schools down in Southern Illinois, to my knowledge. Waterloo, for my money, with what they have on the mound, they've got a chance to make some noise here. I would take them to win today. I would take them to beat Marion on Saturday. Marion's got a good club. They've got an older club. They've got a talented group. Hayden Harris, third baseman for them, can really hit. Alex Henry, football player, big physical arm for them. But I like Waterloo. I think Waterloo is a team that can win in multiple ways. I've seen them win in multiple ways. I saw them beat Triad like 2-0. Then I saw them beat Mascoutah 10-0. They play good defense up the middle of the field. Their pitchers throw strikes. They've got like the necessary offense to do damage when they need to. So I like Waterloo to come out as regional champs. I think Triad is unquestionably going to beat Jerseyville. Nothing against Jerseyville. The further down you go, I think this Mascoutah Mount Vernon matchup is really interesting. Mount Vernon's got the arms to give Mascoutah some fits. Like Mascoutah's a good group. They're the 1 seed. They have a good record. They've had some struggles against like some of the better teams. Like they beat Edwardsville early in the season. Triad crushed them in the 2 games they played. I think both of them were 11-1 run rule games. Waterloo split with them, but the game Waterloo won, it was an ugly game. Like that, I think they won like 10-3. And Mascoutah struggled that game. Mount Vernon's going to throw Cale Maurer, who's a senior going to Kaskaskia. He's good. He's 85, 88. He's 6'6", like a good little breaking ball. The advantage to Mascoutah would be that I can almost certainly guarantee you that all 3 of their best arms are going to be available for this game. So like there is kind of some tug and pull there. Like, but I would pick Mascoutah to win. I just think that Mount Vernon is going to give them some trouble. Like it's going to be a tough game. On the other side, just like kind of looking at this sectional as a whole, if Triad doesn't win it, I'll be shocked. They're a machine. They're not as good as they were last year, which is surprising because their record I think is better. I think they actually won more games this year than they did last year. From a talent, like on paper standpoint, they're not a better team than they were last year, but they're still absolutely cruising. If they don't go back to state, just to be as blunt as possible, I will be very surprised. Because they are the best 3A team, probably in Southern Illinois, probably in Central Illinois. Yeah, so that's kind of my take on it.
Oh, there you go. That's it. It's over. Shut the front door. We're moving on. I got to get down here. I know you mentioned U High, which I would take as University High School in Normal. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
See that powers of deduction there? It's fantastic.
Yeah. This is a pretty cool little sectional here, like the Mount Zion sectional. It's got some pretty like quality clubs that are going to be like tough outs for whoever they play. Chatham and Mount Zion will play Saturday morning. Chatham is like the standard in Central Illinois. It's in Springfield. They've had like big leaguer after big leaguer after big leaguer roll through there. Mount Zion's a good little club. The tough thing for them is they had to throw their number 1 yesterday in Connor Fox to beat Muhammad. Chatham did not, and I just don't know that Mount Zion has the pitching depth to maybe hold Chatham back in that game. Yeah. The most interesting team is Champaign Central. So they are another team that like historically is very, very good. Their coach, John Staub, has been there forever. He's got a ton of wins under his belt. They have racked up 30 win seasons after 30 win season after 30 win season. We had them ranked in the preseason, and they started out pretty bad, so we bumped them out. And then they are on a heater down the way through here. I think they've won like 15 of their last 16 games. Some of the scores aren't particularly close. So that's a program that is playing well at the right time. They have got pedigree. They've got a good coach. They've got a number one arm in Trey Cole, who's a senior going to Wright State, low 90s arm. They've got a sophomore, Ryan Pipkins, that can really hit and also pitches for them. So they're a wagon. The other side of that is that Normal West has a left-hander, Chase Reinhardt, who can really flat out pitch. Like he's mid to upper 80s, really good changeup, good low breaking ball, fills up the strike zone. So like you run into a guy like that can beat you if he's on like by himself, basically. That's going to be a pretty cool matchup there between those two programs. U High is going to win their regional. Like no disrespect to Rantoul, they're just a better team. And then down here in this in kind of the last bracket, I just saw this team last weekend up at Pleasant Plains. I really like Sacred Heart Griffin. They won the 2A state championship last year. They're bumping up to 3A now. A lot of that group is back. Like a lot of the core group is back. They're good defensively at shortstop. Carson Butler is going to Heartland. They're good defensively at second base. Austin Rudder is a great defensive second baseman. He's a junior. They've got the best center fielder I've seen maybe ever that since I've been watching high school baseball in Ty Springer. He's a senior going to Lincoln Land. I mean, if you hit the ball within 120 feet of him, it's caught. It's pretty ridiculous, honestly, like how fast he can get to the baseball. And they've got a good defensive catcher in Mikey Gresh. So like good at catcher, good at both infield spots, elite defense in center field. Their pitchers are good enough. Will Pennell was their number 2 last year. He's their number 1 now. Strike thrower going to Lincoln Land. He's a senior. Drew Ward, right fielder, hits leadoff for them. Also can pitch. I really like Sacred Heart Griffin's team. So much so that I will pick them to win the sectional and play for a super as the 2 seed to get a chance to go to state. I think they're better than Chatham. I think they're better than U High. I think they have the experience of winning. Like it's a team full of guys that won a state championship last year, albeit in a different class. So I'm a big fan of their club. I think they have like the recipe, the ingredients, the team to make a run back to state this time at 3A.
My friends, that is what is called a bold take. Because to jump up in class and then go do that, it's hard to do. I mean,
yeah, and honestly, like we've seen teams do this in Illinois. Joliet Catholic, these are Chicago schools,
sure,
but Joliet Catholic did this. They jumped up from 2A to 3A and made a pretty good run. Nazareth Academy did this. Mm-hmm. They jumped up from 3A to 4A and made a pretty good run. I don't think either of those two teams won the state title after jumping up. Joliet Catholic may have, because their team, the year that they went to state as 3A, was really, really good. But like it has happened before with the private schools bumping up. I actually think there's a chance it happens in 2A too. I think Ottawa Marquette has a real chance to jump up from 1A and win the 2A state championship. They're out of like our little coverage area, so like they wouldn't factor into the rankings or anything.
Right.
But I like Sacred Heart Griffin a lot. I think they're well coached. The program's got a ton of pedigree. They won a state title last year. So that's my pick to come out of this as sectional champions.
Well, let's get to 4A here and finish these things up. I think this is going to be interesting in the sense. Man, they named the sectional after Brother Rice. Jeez, that's pretty.
No, it's normal. It's normal. Yeah. The only one that we'll talk about.
It says Chicago. I know, but they named it says Chicago Brother Rice. Is that where the championships are being played or something? Or they just,
there's a high school, Brother Rice.
Yeah.
It's a powerhouse. Yeah. Yeah.
And so they named the sectional after him.
Yeah. Usually they do that. They name it based on whoever like the top team is or like where it's going to be hosted.
Okay. Okay.
So like for us, normal community sectional, that's the only one that really encompasses like any of the 4A schools in Southern Illinois. None of the Central Illinois schools are 4A. They're all 3A. Belleville West beat Belleville East yesterday. Pretty interesting matchup today between O'Fallon and Alton. O'Fallon, the 3 seed, perennially, historically, one of the better teams here in the Southwestern Conference. Alton, the 6 seed, not having a banner year by any means.
They're underperforming, aren't they? Do you think they're underperforming?
I don't think so. I thought last year they graduated a lot. Like I think they graduated like basically their whole starting lineup. The one thing I will say is Alton has 2 arms, both of which I would expect to throw today at some point that could absolutely beat O'Fallon. I would think Anderson Kaufman, the sophomore, will be the starting pitcher. He's one of the best sophomores in not just Illinois but the Midwest. And then if they need to trail him, they'll probably go to Logan Hickman, who's a really talented senior arm going to John A. Logan. So like I would still pick O'Fallon to win, but if we're looking at like upsets, like Alton definitely has the recipe on the mound with those 2 guys to go in there and beat O'Fallon. Because if they're on, it's just going to take 1 or 2 runs for them to win the baseball game. So that'll be a pretty interesting dynamic there. The craziest thing, this is not a hyperbole, the craziest thing I've seen so far in the playoffs is the fact that Edwardsville almost lost to Granite City.
Well,
yesterday.
I was just going to say this. Hang on. I got to ask this question. Did Edwardsville pull the number 2 off the JV squad to pitch to this team? No offense to Granite City.
They threw their number 3, Miller Dunnell. Yeah. And then when they realized the game is 0-0, they threw their number 1, Tony Everlin. Wow. So they threw their guys. I got to give a shout out to Michael Terry, the pitcher at Granite City. He's a junior, strike thrower, low 80s guy, can kind of mix and match it, like not an overpowering arm, but he was excellent yesterday. I mean, it took a Hunter Baugh double and then a Jack Kurgan single in the bottom of the 10th inning for Edwardsville to win this baseball game.
Wow.
Like Granite City had them on the ropes. That would have been the upset of like the last 5 years, probably. Nothing against Granite City. Like they have some good players. Yeah. It's just like Edwardsville is who they are, right? Like Tim Funkhauser, 4 state championships, they're hosting. That just for them to lose in the first round, that would have been a pretty monumental upset. With that being said, I think there's a chance that Saturday's game can be a little interesting. Collinsville beat Quincy yesterday. Collinsville's not having like they're very similar to Alton. Like they're kind of hovering around that 500 mark. But I'll be curious to see what Edwardsville does on the mound.
They pounded Quincy, Diego. They didn't just beat them. They pounded them.
They did 12-3. I'll be really curious to see what Edwardsville does on the mound. Hunter Baugh is back. He missed almost the whole season, basically the whole season from a pitching standpoint. He's back. I can guarantee you he's not stretched out to throw 60, 65, 70 pitches. Like you're probably looking at 50,
closer
55,
roll.
60 pitches. I would think he'll start. Honestly, I would think he'll start. I don't know where Nick Chirotto is at from a pitching standpoint. He's another guy that missed most of the year pitching. If Chirotto's back, if they can mix and match with Ball and Chirotto to get them 15 outs, I feel good that they'll win this baseball game. If they can't, I think it could get pretty interesting. Like Collinsville has some talented players. Like they could make some noise. Will Swift, senior, going to State Fair. Ben Tillman, Logan Odell, senior, going to UMSL. Like they could get in here and make a Roman Pomeranz is a good player for Collinsville. Like I think on paper you would look at this and be like, yeah, Edwardsville is going to win this game. They may even run rule them. But the fact that they had to burn 2 like legitimate arms to win yesterday's game makes this way more interesting. So we'll see what happens. I'm still going to pick Edwardsville to win because I know that if it's a 1-run ball game going into the 6th or 7th inning, they're going to win the baseball game. They'll find a way. They'll bunt. They'll run. They'll make you make a mistake. Like something will happen to where they'll win the game.
Well,
But I just think that could be interesting.
Yeah, Edwardsville, we've seen them a few times, and we saw them against Hal and O'Fallon. And Hunter didn't pitch, but he sure did swing the bat, and he was DH, and the kid, he's fantastic at the plate just as well. But that's one of the things they haven't been as offensive as they've been in the past.
They have to be more creative. Like they're like a football team that has to scheme things open, run the football, hit like play the short game. They bunt, they run. Now the benefactor to that is they've got the best coach in the area, right? And like they'll do everything under the sun and be very good at it. They're a much better defensive team this time around than they were earlier in the season. So we'll see. Like we'll see what they do.
Yeah.
This time of year, if it's close, I'll lean towards Tim Funkhauser. The really interesting thing will be, I think, like let's just assume O'Fallon wins this game today. I think Belleville West is going to give them some trouble. I know O'Fallon kind of put it to them in the regular season. Belleville West is a scrappy group, man. Like they're a blue collar, scrappy, competitive bunch. They will throw a left-handed arm, Lucas Womack, who's going to be 80-82. He's going to fill up the strike zone, flip in a big, slow, loopy breaking ball, keep you off balance. They will compete and give O'Fallon some trouble, assuming O'Fallon wins today, right? I think we're going to probably have O'Fallon Edwardsville in the sectional semifinal again, which is going to be awesome. Like that's what happened last year. O'Fallon knocked them off. All of that to say, if Normal Community doesn't win this sectional, I think that'd be kind of a pretty big upset. They are a wagon. They went to state last year. They brought almost the whole team back. They've got 4 or 5 Division I commits. They've got a senior arm going to Indiana. Their number 2 is going to Indiana State. Their shortstop's going to Cincinnati. Their catcher's going to UIC. Their backup catcher is going to Valparaiso. They're a machine. They're a machine. I would think they'll win. Minooka's a good little group up there in Chicago. Like they've got Zane Caves, a left-hander, going to Michigan State. That could give them some trouble. I'll take Normal Community to win the sectional. I think them against Edwardsville is probably the most likely matchup. I think that'd be an awesome matchup. But I'll take the Ironmen to punch their ticket to at least go back to the Super. Personally, I don't know who they would play in the Super, but I think they will probably win that game and go back to state.
Is Edwardsville gonna be whole enough to where they can have Eberlin against that Normal team?
Yeah, honestly, probably not. Because I would think Eberlin will have to throw to beat O'Fallon. So you're probably looking at Hunter Baugh, Miller Dunnell, Ty Hunt, maybe Nick Chirotto. I just don't know what his status is.
Yeah.
And those guys are good enough. Hunter Baugh is good enough to beat anybody. The kid gave up one earned run last year in 40 innings, and he is the most competitive player maybe I've ever been around, honestly. But Normal Community, they've got the talent on the mound, and they've got the talent in the lineup. And honestly, they've got the experience too. When it comes to this time of year, having not only 5 Division I players on your team helps, but having 5 Division I players who were a part of a state run last year is pretty important. So I'll just lean with them. Again, it's chalk.
Yeah.
They were the wire-to-wire number 1 team on our rankings for a reason. I just think that they're going to make their way back to state. So,
well, I'll tell you what. This is the scorecards from the O'Fallon Edwardsville game that we did, and when you look at it up and down, Ty Hunt was at the top of that order. A walk, 2 singles. Hunter Ball right behind him. He was DH in a single double. Those 2 guys at the top of the order. We saw them hit. We didn't see them just hit. They don't just hit for power. They're not, just thumpers. A lot of singles. They put the ball in play, and like you said, the small ball. And I think it'll be interesting to see, because we saw Jantz for O'Fallon against him, and he didn't pitch well. He was a lot of full counts. They work counts well. It'll be interesting to see, and you can tell me or not, is that their number one at O'Fallon?
That's their number one. That's the guy who's traditionally been rolling out as their number one. I like Dylan Jantz. I think he's got a pretty high ceiling down the road. Big physical kid, has some downhill to the fastball, can spin a breaking ball. I would think that's who they'll throw today.
Yeah.
They'll have Will Vanderheiden. They'll have Landon Dipple. They'll have Anthony Perez. Like, they're kind of in a situation where I think we went into the season and we talked about this, and I got to run here in like a minute, but this will be like
That's
my
fine.
final closing thought. We talked about this earlier in the season about O'Fallon having a really good pitching staff, and that's kind of why we were higher on them this year than maybe in Edwardsville to open things up. I think they've kind of gotten themselves in a situation where they have all these really good arms that have just kind of pitched okay this year, and nobody's really stepped up and been like the guy, like the number one, like, give me the ball, I'm the stopper. They all have the talent to do that. Dylan Jantz is good enough to do that. Will Vanderheiden's good enough to do that. Landon Dipple is good enough to do that. Liam Decker is a guy that has the talent to, like, he's like to get on the mound and put up some zeros. But they've all kind of been just okay. And I think if they're going to make the run that their team is capable of making, because they are talented enough to make a deep run, somebody on that pitching staff is going to have to step up and be the guy. And honestly, it probably starts today for O'Fallon, because like Alton is going to walk in there with absolutely nothing to lose. Like, I can guarantee you they're supposed to lose this baseball game. Two, they're going to walk in there with a competitive psycho of a sophomore on the mound in Anderson Kaufman, who is going to think he's the best player on the field. And three, they got Logan Hickman right behind him. So, like, if Dylan Jantz isn't what he's supposed to be today, they could very well lose and their season could be over. And then, like, if they were to win, whoever they throw on Saturday against Edwardsville, if they don't step up and kind of be that guy, their season could very well be over. So, like, we'll see what happens. Like, they're talented enough. Somebody has to take that next step, per se, and they're all capable of doing it.
Yeah. There you go, folks. Illinois baseball underway. We'll hope to. Now, next week it's going to be a little tough, so we may be catching them up on the backside of that, because this weekend will be, as we said, Game 7. Monday, our opener, our summer season starts with our first American Legion baseball game, our first showcase. Diego,
I got to run. I'll catch you guys.
See you, buddy.
See ya.
Take care.
See you, man.
We're going to be jumping out to the American Legion ball game. Kirkwood, Eureka, jumping in. We'll be at the Mo State Championships next week. So we'll catch up on the backside of this. Carl, thanks. I appreciate you jumping in here, dropping some knowledge on us, buddy. And,
I tried. I'm not near as good as the other guy.
Hey, no, that's good. Hey, man, sometimes, see, that's how you do this. You get in, you start working through it, and there you go, man. It's the way it works. It was good. And
yeah, it was fun.
We've got some good stuff. Good luck to your group there today and tomorrow, and through the end of this. Looks like you're on a collision course, and we'll see what happens. But folks, remember, subscribe, hit the dinger just like you would with the dinger bat there, and get your notifications for more episodes just like this. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great day in the Lord, and we'll see y'all at the ballpark.